So today's video is going to be all about filters. And I think it's fair to say that everybody loves filters. And that's because they just give so much. Even when you're using them in their most sort of basic way, like putting an oscillator in and sweeping through the frequencies, it can be enough to make your mouth move involuntarily. And that is a sign of power. But they can also be used in more creative ways, and I'll be exploring some of those today and hopefully making some nice music. So if that sounds good, then please stick around and also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And yeah, let's begin. So the average human can hear from a range of around 20 Hz up to 20,000 Hz, and that whole entire spectrum of sound is like unfiltered sound. And you could take that entire spectrum, put it into a filter, and have only certain frequencies pass through. And that is kind of what a filter is. Let me show you. So I've got the MCO as my sound source, and I'm going to go into the UVCF from intellijel. I'll take the low pass output into my VCA, and from there, data bender, Dual Dagger, effects aid, and out. And if I bring up the VCA, you can hear a nice raspy sawtooth wave full of harmonics and frequency range. And as I bring the frequency down, you hear all the high end disappear and only the low remains, and that is a low pass filter. The low is allowed to pass. A high pass filter, on the other hand, works in the opposite way. The low end is gone and the high end remains. Let's go back to the low pass and we'll talk a bit about the resonance. Most filters have resonance, and what this does is kind of accentuate the harmonics in the frequency range, or makes it squelchy. Now you should be careful when cranking the resonance, because this can lead to sort of destroying your speakers or your ears or your relationship with your neighbours, because it gets out of control pretty quickly. But it's also very beautiful, especially when you start to hear the notes that are being accentuated. If I bring up a bit of reverb, that's the most basic way to use a filter, and it's incredibly beautiful. So next I'd like to make a patch which is a bit more usable and musical. So I'm going to start with the MCO. I'm going to take the output and go into my VCA. And I'm also going to take the sub out so that I've got two different sounds, and then both of these are going to go into the filter via the mix output. And I'm going to take the low pass out into the data bender, which goes on and out. Then I'm going to take the the pitch out from the key step, put that into the MCO, and the gate out I'm going to put into the trigger in of maths, and I'm going to use maths to modulate the filter. Let's just set that up now. I'm going to take the output channel 4 and put that into the frequency 1 modulation. And if I bring up the level, get the tangle quartet here. Oh ho, oh ho ho. Sorry. You can now hear that it's just playing all the time and there's no filter action going on, and that's because the filter is all the way open. If I want maths to affect the filter, I need to bring the frequency down so that maths has something to move. Yes. I love that sound, it's kind of wooden. And I'm just going to run a sequence here and then get things moving. Yep, that's really cool. So here we've got a rise and a fall amount. If I bring the rise up, it's kind of like the attack of an envelope. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Let's bring the sub oscillator up. I might as well bring in a beat. Another thing you can do is, because the UVCF has 2 frequency modulation inputs, I could use channel 1 of maths to modulate as well. And what I've done here is bring the frequency up just a slight amount, and I'm using channel 1 of maths to go sort of negatively, so it's bringing it down. Oh man, I'm not sure what algorithm that is. Maybe chorus or something? Oh yeah, I like that. Playing the filter is a thing that people say, but what does it mean? Well, if you turn the resonance all the way up on some filters, it will self-oscillate and create its own sound, which is typically a sine wave, and then you can play that sine wave so it becomes an oscillator, kind of. So I'm going to take the pitch out of the key step and put it into the volt per octave input on the UVCF. Now, not all filters have this, so it's a good thing to check before you buy a filter and become disappointed. And if I take the low pass output and bring it into the VCA, I'm going to turn the volume down just because, you know, this can be pretty dangerous for your well-being. And okay, we have a sine wave. For some reason, I always feel that a sine wave from a filter sounds better than a sine wave from an oscillator. It's probably not true, and there's probably no difference, but I believe it to be true, and that's all that matters. And let's bring that down. Next, I'm going to take the gate out from the key step and bring it into the trigger of maths. And I'm going to be using maths to trigger the VCA in this instance because I don't want to modulate the filter because it will make the sine wave go crazy. So I'm going to use it to modulate the VCA. Yeah. And do you hear that in the background? Someone's having a party out there. Great timing. Let's just play a wee sequence. Yep, that works. Another thing I like to do when I'm doing this is actually put noise into the filter. It seems to kind of blend really nice with this kind of sine wave. So I'm going to take the output and bring it into the VCA, and from there I'll go to the input of the filter. It's like they kind of compete for dominance, and it makes them sort of interact. Yeah, I really like that. That's cool. Let's bring in a B. Yeah. And you could even bring in a note as well to see how that works with the sine wave. I don't know how this is going to work with a sine wave. Yeah, it works. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I like that, moving between those two. I'm not sure what happened there. The SEM filter from Doepfer has some really nice characteristics, and one of them is that it does not self-oscillate, so you do not get that sine wave. And this is actually really nice when it comes to creating like percussive kind of sounds, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to turn the resonance all the way up and use a sample and hold modulator from PAMS. So let's set that up and get PAMS going. Which one is the sample and hold? I think it's this one here, number 4. And I'm going to put that into the CV modulation. And then take the output into my VCA. You can already hear some nice clicks and pops, and as you bring the resonance up, it's kind of like digital toms or something. And you can always bring the amount of modulation down to sort of bring in the range of modulation of notes. Yeah, that sounds so cool. And next I want to use the UVCF to create a kick drum. And it's quite straightforward to do. I'm gonna use PAMS again to trigger maths. And take the output into the frequency modulator and take the low pass output into the VCA. And actually I'm also going to take this kind of other output of maths to modulate the VCA, and I want to create that sine wave again, so let's just bring this up. Yes. And you get quite a lot of control with maths over what the kick drum's going to be like. You could have these huge tails, or change the logarithmic exponential control. And you know, I know this is all about filters, but I'm gonna use some noise from the MCO to create some sort of, some hi-hats. Which one? This one? That's not gonna stretch. And that's how to create some drums with some filters. And we might as well clock the data bender. Yes. And there's a lot of character to these drums. Using the filter to fade out. So in this patch I have a kind of full track sort of thing playing on the OP1 and going into the filters to get modulated to kind of add more variation in character. So if I open the Dual Dagger all the way up, which is a stereo filter by the way, then you can hear the song in its kind of fullness. And if I bring the cutoff down, you can hear that there's stuff happening, and what is happening is I have palms triggering maths, and maths is modulating the cutoff. And you can change the amount, the depth. Oh, quite like that. Yeah. This is something you can really delve into with different LFO shapes and different speeds as well. Should I try a faster speed? I don't see why not. So we're on number 5. Yeah, it's really cool. And let's not forget, of course, the classic DJ filter. Whether you're going high pass or low pass, a really cool thing to do. So I hope you've enjoyed today's, I was going to say deep dive into filters, but it's been only scratching the surface. There are thousands of filters to choose from and so much crazy cool stuff you can do with them. But I hope I've at least given you some cool ideas. Please let me know down in the comments what your favourite filter is or how you like to use them. And I'll catch you all next time.